This is Ryan Abraham, Dan Weber, USCFootball.com. Instant analysis here from outside of Howard Jones Field. Some big news today at practice, Dan. Morgan Breslin likely out for the season, it seems like.
Well, I think it was interesting because Ed made the point that he's going to have surgery on his hip, and it's obvious that's been a back and forth thing. Could they rehab it? You know, how much time would he miss if they, rehab, or how much of a possibility is if they try that and it doesn't work, how much time does he lose? They've decided to have the surgery. But with the possibility, if the bowl game is late enough, he could be back for the bowl game. So there might be kind of an incentive added for the Trojans is to, win one for Morgan, get the better bowl games tend to be, later on to some extent. Now, obviously, the Sun Bowl is New Year's Eve, but get a January bowl game and maybe Morgan's back. So, and the other injury that we just we noticed Leonard Williams not there, and for the first time he's listed with a shoulder injury and questionable. We're just not sure what that means, and Ed said that's all the talking I'm going to do about injuries. I'll say what the injury is and what the probability is, and that's it.
There were 5 healthy receivers out there today, which was kind of interesting to see. We did see a little bit of Kevin Graff, who didn't do stuff early, but it looked like during the team stuff he was playing late. He was listed as questionable, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that gives them that choice. They said they haven't made a decision. Went through most of practice with the offensive line that they played the second half of the Utah game, played the whole Oregon State game, and Ed said, we like that continuity. And it made kind of, and he said, we haven't made the decision because you move Kevin back in, then you've got to move Max Turk to left guard, and you've got to move, John Martinez out. And so then you're changing, 2 or 3 positions again. We'll see how that works. And I don't think Kevin, is completely ready to go. And Ed, said have to see, how the injury progresses, how the ankle progresses, how many plays can he play, and do you want to be making changes during a game or during a week of practice? And it's not an easy call.
Cal is obviously not a great team so far this year, but it seems like there could be a little bit of a revenge factor going on for Ed Orgeron this one.
Well, I guess, it was funny. He said, devastating loss, and he was there for that loss in 2003. And he went into a snake pit, and that's the game that, Herschel, Dennis drops the ball as he's going in to score and goes into overtime, and they make the field goal, and USC doesn't, 34-31. I still remember, the horrible part of it is not only trying to, cover a game at Cal, and I think we did the post-game interviews almost outside the stadium because there's nowhere else to do them, and fans are going by, and we're trying to talk to Matt Leinart and Pete Carroll, but Ed said, that's a really devastating loss, and I said, so devastating you won the next 34 straight games. So I guess you could hope that's the kind of devastation this team maybe suffered at Notre Dame or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess a decade later, it's not much of a revenge factor, but it's something he does remember. And then
it was an ugly game. It was one of those, and I don't know if we even expected USC to be that good at that time. We just, you didn't expect them to lose to Cal necessarily. That wasn't a bad Cal team, but it was just ugly. The stadium was ugly. Their fans are, kind of ugly. It was just kind of a mean-spirited night, and it was maybe the most ugly post game I can ever remember. In that we were literally standing at the gates of the stadium with people going by talking to players and coaches.
Wow.
There was nowhere else to do it. It was the worst post game I've ever seen, and for them to take that point, and if you'd have said at that moment, this team's going to win the national championship this year, everybody would have said, you kidding? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
So crazy things happen in this rivalry, and this might be another one of those years. You never know.
Just one last thing. Defensive players were available today. You got to talk to some of the guys. Anything interesting came out of that?
Well, I think Michael Hutchings is really excited to be going back to Cal, and he said it, and he's playing with a guy, a Cal linebacker who he played next to for 2 years at De La Salle, and then I was telling Sue Cravens, I said, Sporting News listed the top 10 freshmen of the year this year. It's kind of interesting. 4 are in the Pac-12. And all 4 of them will be playing against one another, one from Colorado, one from UCLA. Sue is one, and also Jared Goff from Cal.
Okay.
And I said, what do you think of that? And he said, that's a pretty good statement for the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And it is a really good statement. And the fact that they're all going to be playing one another in the next, next 4 games for USC is kind of interesting to watch. But it was good to talk to those guys. But Sue said, Michael's really excited about going back.
All right. Well, that wraps it up here from just outside of Howard Jones Field. For Dan Weber, this is Ryan Abraham. Check out uscfootball.com for more.